Just to go back to when we met at Byron Katie's thing, I just remember sitting with you and hanging out in the hot tub and really having this deep conversation, or whatever it was, like the natural spring overlooking the ocean, having this deep conversation about like the subtleties and the nuances of selfless service, and like not just giving, but really honestly giving.
Yeah.
And really connecting on like the truth of that. And so
Yep.
revisiting that in your book, I mean, I actually went and sat down in the park the other day with this and said, I'm going to start reading it. And I almost went cover to cover in that one sitting.
Wow.
So just remembering, you know, cause I read your former book, which was a lot of this was in there, but it was just nice to revisit your story and just the conversational tone. I love just how easy it is to read and soak up the principles. And I love how you've added the kind of the culture, you know, the culture aspect to each of the principles as well. But so reading through it, I'm like thinking, what would I love to talk to Jonathan about? And originally it was like, oh, what are the good questions I should ask? But I realized, you know what, I'm just going to ask the questions that I'd be asking if we were in the hot tub again. And like the deeper nuances of some of these things that I'm really curious about. And so I've got 3 questions that I love to dive in and chew on with you.
Do we need to disrobe first?
No, we don't need to, but we can if you want.
Okay, good. All right, good.
Yeah. We can have more clothes on this time. We were completely naked, weren't we?
We were. No clothes, but it was pitch black. So
it was pitch black. I know.
Yeah.
So did I tell you that my beginning as an entrepreneur was in real estate? Oh, so I actually got out of college. I like read the Kiyosaki books, and I got into being a broker, not broker, but real estate agent in residential.
Residential, yeah.
Then I got into flipping houses and a little bit of like condo conversion stuff. And I actually left the industry for the same reason that you hated commercial real estate.
Really?
Yeah. At that time, who just joined us here? Oh, you're on here on 2. There's 2 Jonathans all of a sudden with us. Just checking in. All right, Catherine.
I cloned myself.
Awesome. I'll take all 3. So I actually got out of the business in my 20s because I was so fed up with the ruthless nature, and I fucking hated it. I loved the business of it, but I hated the ruthlessness of it. And in my heart, I knew that the world didn't have to be like this, but I didn't have the insight that you had at that time that I could actually do this in the same industry. I was blaming the industry at that point. I was a victim to the circumstance of this industry.
Totally.
And I didn't transcend it. Now in my life, I'm 40, I have, and so I really connect the principles. But so yeah, it was cool to look back through that and just connect on that level with the industry itself. And
if I could just comment on that one point. I mean, chapter 5 in the book called "Trapped in the Crazy Commercial Real Estate Industry." It's like, that's what I really believe is I believe that most people don't have the sense of how they would actually do it in a way that doesn't cause them to, you know, go home at night and kind of feel bad for the stuff that they do, or wish they didn't have to behave a certain way, or always be paranoid looking over their shoulder. It's like, I think part of the problem is there's not a clear roadmap out there for anyone. And so that's really all my book is designed to do, is take everything that I've learned in developing this culture within arguably one of the most ruthless industries in the world, and show others, hey, it doesn't have to be this way. And oh, by the way, don't just take my word for it. Here we are actually doing it. So I think that there's massive unlocked potential out there for brokers who are behaving in ways that are misaligned with their core values, but they feel trapped because they want to make money, they have mortgages to pay, they have car payments, and at the end of the day, they don't know that there is a different way. They just feel like they have to do it this way because this is the way it is. And so the whole point of the book is to transcend that old ideology, to reinvent what's possible within commercial real estate, and ultimately have an industry that's sharkish behavior, but it's filled with people that really care about other people and want to serve others.
That's why I was just like, your homepage and your website is so powerful. And for anybody that hasn't seen it, what is it? Is it Kaiser.com? Keyser? Yeah, yep, Kaiser.com. Just go and watch that. I mean, it reminds me of the Marcus Aurelius principle, what stands in the way becomes the way.
Yes.
And so basically your homepage is like talking about that of the industry, and be like, and there's another way.
Yep.
And that's actually it seems like that's your pitch, is that we are the alternative to what you hate about it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And when part of why we want to do the video is I had this idea of like, hey, you know, we're not sure how to help people see what's really the problem, right? And so for those who have not been to the website, we have at the very, very beginning, we have a client, and the client's talking about, oh man, those brokers, all they do is screw me over and they're lying to me. And the broker's like, man, all I've got to do is looking over my shoulder all the time. And then we walk them through the Kaiser principles by giving a cool virtual tour of our office. And then we end up with, you know, with kind of a cool and catchy finale. But the whole point is, yeah, that's our vision, is to possible. I think if people see eyes that is true, that is possible for them, then maybe they'll take it more seriously and dive into the book and see what they can do to reinvent themselves.
And for people in my community that listen to this, actually, why don't you summarize, just for the people that haven't read the book yet, what that alternative way of being in business is? We'll dive deeper into it, but.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the underlying philosophy behind it all is what you practice every single day, JP. It's that mindset of, I want to serve, I want to give first. I want to be successful by helping other people be successful. It's a mindset issue. It's all about helping people see that the speed to trust really occurs through, and the best way to create a relationship is by helping somebody, by serving them, by caring more about them than you are about yourself. And we live in a world where everybody's so focused on themselves, and they want to sell, and they want to say how great I am, and oh, well, did I tell you how great I was? And so there's this whole idea of, what if you just stopped selling and started serving? And what if you picked all those individuals in your world that you'd love to have as clients, that you'd love to have as partners, that you'd love to have as employees, and you just spent your time trying to figure out what they needed and going above and beyond for them? It's not the short game, right? It's not, this isn't instant gratification, but in the long game, you create extraordinary success. And my quick story is, I was raised to love and serve, but we were poor, and I didn't like being poor. So I got into commercial real estate because I wanted to get rich. And as I got into commercial real estate, I realized, holy crap, this is a ruthless industry. But I wanted to be rich more than I cared about not being ruthless. And so I became ruthless. And then 15 years ago, a speaker introduced me to a different way of doing business. I reinvented myself around it. And today we have the largest firm of our kind in the state of Arizona, and one of the fastest growing in the country. And my book just hit #1 on Wall Street Journal and on Amazon, all around this ideology of creating success through service, not doing the right thing because it's the right thing. Everybody should already know that. This is about creating success, financial success, by helping other people. I'm trying to draw that connection between selfless service, helping other people, and success.
Yes. So, which leads me to my first question. And I just going on a hunch with this question, right? Just from knowing you and being with you. And the question is, I'll explain it kind of if I need to, but why selfless service, besides the fact that it produces results in business and success? My sense is there's a parallel reason for you. Is there? Yeah. And if there is, tell me about it.
No, great. It's a great question. So what I think, part of the reason why I think there's a disconnect, people know how to serve. It's not like nobody knows what to do to help people. Yeah. We all know how to do it one way or another. The question is, why do we leave that at home or in our country clubs or in our churches or wherever? And why, when we go out into business, do we feel like we got to go put on our tough suits and fight? Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it's because people truly believe that that's what is necessary to get ahead. But that behavior makes you miserable. So you either drown it, right? Either or you push those feelings down so far that eventually you don't notice them anymore. But that's not really living. That's just, that's just taking the sensitivities that were built into you and killing them. So my message is not, where I think that the message in the past has gotten diluted, and where I want to make sure is very clear that my message is not, is this idea of it just is the right thing to do because it feels good and your life gets so much better. It's like, that's not my message. And guess what? That's what happens. So when I was spending all my time trying to convince everybody I was great and manipulating the world and ruthlessly trying to get, I was miserable. Nobody really liked me that much. And I didn't have the kind of financial success that now I'm experiencing. And now on the other hand, all I do is spend my time serving and loving people. Now, again, it's not overnight, right? I just want to make sure I'm always clear with that. This is the long game, long term. But now, today, I spend all my time trying to help other people. And studs like you actually want to listen to what I have to say, have me on your podcast, you know, invite me to be on TV shows, read my book. So hire my firm. And that's what I'm trying to explain to people is yes, you get your cake and you get to eat it too. I have amazing relationships. I have friendships. I sleep at night and on and on and on. But at the end of the day, all that I'm really trying to say is that stuff is the booby prize. That stuff is extra. That stuff is just comes along with. I want people to hear first and foremost is I believe that selfless service is the most selfish way to live. I believe the most self-interested business plan. If you were to take every business plan and line them up, I believe that helping other people selflessly over the long term will create more long-term material, financial success than any other way. Now, you got to do it smart, right? Like there's a great book called Give and Take by Adam Grant, where he describes how the givers in the world are both the least successful and the most successful people on the success spectrum. And he says, why? Well, the ones that are strategic, that know how to say no, right? Because service always has to be a choice. You have to be able to say no. You get to choose. Otherwise, it's not service. It's a command or a job or an obligation. Just the people that you know strategically, if you really impress them and they really felt served, would really be able to hire you, benefit you, join you, and you just serve those people long term. There's no better way to create success. And now I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm saying that that's my personal opinion. I believe that selfless service is the greatest business principle of all time. And to prove it in an industry that normally you would go, there's no way that dude could ever be successful in commercial real estate brokerage of all industries. So here we are kicking ass and taking names, and I'm saying, look, it's not about me. These principles work. This ideology, this mindset works, and you can do it too. Hence the book, You Don't Have to Be Ruthless to Win.
Yeah, I love it. Which, and what you just said leads me to my second question, actually, beautifully. On page 95, I believe, I underlined a true heart of service. I love that phrase. And so my curiosity, and I want to link it in with something you just said too, the kind of secondary question is, how do you cultivate a true heart of service? You gave some great answers. I just want to dig in deeper with you, specifically around this distinction of not keeping track, because there's some truth to that, but then there's also another way where there is a strategic decision that has you giving in a way that leads to something. I'm curious, like, do you not use a CRM, or is there, it's still you're keeping track externally, but not in, like, can you talk a bit about that, those subtleties?
Totally. Yeah. And that really where the magic is. Here's how I give. I give with the expectation of nothing in return, while still understanding, believing, and finding to be true that the world cannot handle an imbalance. So a lot of times where you give is not necessarily going to be where it comes back. It's more subtle than that. It's more holistic. Zoom out, you'd see how this one act of service affected this, and somehow came back to you, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was just amazing. Well, you started that maybe years ago with something you did. And so that for me is the mindset. I do not track who I serve. I do not keep track in some sort of CRM of who I've helped. I don't game it like that. I used to, because I didn't know what I was doing. I just love and serve. And so but that doesn't mean that I'm pulled by every single need that's out there, because there's a lot of needs. And JP, you and I only have so much time, and so do all of our people, and we have to be smart and shrewd business people as well. And so that's where this whole idea of impact, this idea of, just stand out on the street corner and ask everybody that walks by you, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? But what you can do is take every meeting that you're already going to have, every phone call you're already going to have, of every interaction that you're already going to have with another human being, and instead of spending that time trying to sell, trying to convince, you spend that time really probing, really listening, really trying to find ways to serve that person. And when that, then you create this experience that they have with another human being that they're not used to experiencing. I mean, that's what our coach, Steve Hardison, does.
Right.
And that's what makes him able to do what is so amazing in your life and mine and so many others, is he's there in pure service. And so I try to bring that same, to the extent that I can, to that same mindset of I'm just there to serve. I'm just there to help. And again, I get to say no if I don't want to. So if somebody says, Jonathan, can you donate $2,500 to whatever? I already have the things I donate to. Yeah. If I feel moved to do it, I do, but I feel zero obligation. I don't feel to serve. If somebody says, hey, can you help my daughter get a job? I may choose to say yes, or I may choose to say no. And I don't feel bad if I say no. And so I think that's that differentiator, slaves to service. We're not people that have to serve because now I'm the guy that wrote a book on service, so I better be of service. It's like, no, service has to be a choice. Be something where you get to do it from the abundance of your own heart in whatever way that you'd like to. And it's from that pure place that real magic happens. And when I say magic, I mean the way that I can have conversations with people are so moving and so meaningful because I'm out of the way. And it's not about me. It's just about them. And very few people listen like that, care enough like that, especially in the business world. So again, going back to the practical, what better way to create extraordinary success than to have every single potential client, potential recruit, potential vendor, potential anything experience a powerful you that just cares about them? Over the long term, there's no way you fail.
Awesome, man. I love that. Thank you. The other concept that really caught my attention is the concept of working hard, right? And so, because I love winning. I love that part, right? And there's a certain, like the ruthlessness where you trample over people I don't like, but I love, I'm a CrossFitter, and in my work, I love the energy of go and crush it. Yep. And I also know that sometimes the idea of working hard is associated with being stressed out and ignoring your body. And I know you talk about a lot of that stuff in here, and I think it's great. But I was just curious to hear from you a little bit more, because you also strike me as a guy, just being with you every time is like pretty chilled out and relaxed. So there's working hard and there's also chilled out and relaxed. So my question was, what do you actually mean by work hard? And how do you do that?
Man, you ask great questions, JP. A couple things. Number one is, as our mutual coach has taught us both, I learned to come from a place of peace and presence in everything that I'm doing. And that is a learned skill. And if anything, it's more of as you know, an unlearning than it is even a learning. It's all the things that used to make us think that if we weren't stressed out, we didn't care enough, or if we weren't worried, we weren't paying close enough attention, or all those are just constructs of the imagination. And so for me, I want to keep my head, I want to keep my mind as clear as possible. I don't worry about anything. I don't stress about things. I just get up every morning, try my darndest all day long, pass out at night, get up excited to do it all over again. And I believe in the mantra of outworking the competition, because let's say that everybody does 60% of their potential. Well, for every increment below 60%, you're obviously losing. But every increment above that, it's not additive, exponential. And so I like creating extraordinary success. Now, for me, part of what makes this so fun is I'm aligned. I'm doing something that matters. My mission is bigger than me. I'm not just doing a job that I hate. And for those of you who are out there doing a job that you don't do that 1 second longer, and either decide, is it the problem within you hating something and you're blaming someone, or is the problem outside of you and you're in the wrong role, wrong job? For me, I was in the wrong company, being supported in the way that I felt like I needed to be supported to help me realize this vision of changing the industry. And so for me, it's like I live intentionally a very imbalanced life because to be up to something big. The idea of balance sounds boring to me. Being mediocre, I don't really care about that much. I only spend my time on the stuff that really, really matters to me. And I'm constantly thinking about it, and it's all interwoven, right? My family, my business, my health, it's all together. And you can't really tell where one string ends and the other begins. It's all intermeshed, and prioritize all three immensely. Like my kids would tell you, I'm a very present father. When I'm with them, I'm not perfect. Sometimes
sure.
For the most part, when I'm with them, I'm fully with them. When I'm hanging out with my buddy JP, I'm not worrying about what I got to do tomorrow, what I got to be. So there's the elements of being fully present that I believe in. And that's obviously one of the chapters in the book. But I think this mindset of trusting what you're doing will be okay. And that as long as you're giving it your best effort, there's nothing to really worry about. And whatever does come up, you're going to have the strength in that moment to handle it. So most people, the past, of the future, fear of the present, fear of everything. And I try to just live in the present. I believe that everything is a gift. So that's one of my personal mantras. I used to say, like that I would go around and try to find positives of everything. Now I like it even better, not even trying to make it, just turning it into a gift, right? So, your car breaks down on the freeway, gift. You get a big new client, gift. You find out your mom has cancer, gift. Like everything is a gift. And if you start to appreciate whatever comes your way and stop being in resistance to it, Byron Katie style, then what you find is this clearing, this space, this opening where now you can take, you used to be distracted with worry, fear, and anxiety and stress and apply it towards productive things. And so, part of it's just my personality, right? But part of it is a real learned skill on how to be chill, because I did used to be stressed out. And part of it was my job. Part of it was I was being a crook and I didn't like being a crook. But also part of it was I just didn't have the mindset to be at peace. And no matter what's going on in your life, whether you think that everything's going perfectly or whether you feel like it's falling apart, the only one making that decision is up here. It's in you, right? You're deciding if your life sucks or not. So I just decide that my life rocks. And I've had some tough things happen to me, when my wife left. And when she left, that was a hard thing for me. I just kept convincing myself over and over again, this is a gift. This is a gift. There's the reasons why it's good. And today her and I have an amazing relationship. I got an amazing new wife. Life is good. And I think that's the goal, is no matter what comes at you, you just look at it, smile at it, and say, thank you for the gift. This sure doesn't look or feel like a gift, but thanks for bringing it. And by having that clearing in your head, you have then be able to bring your best self to it. And when you bring your best self to something, you can create, how in the world are you going to serve somebody if you're showing up to a meeting and all you're thinking about is the stress and the fear and the anxiety? You can't even hear them because all that noise. And so because of that, you have a shitty meeting. And because you have a terrible meeting, you don't get the business, which makes you feel even worse. And now you're telling yourself you suck. And it's just like a spiral that so many people live in.
But it sounds like what you're saying is that there's the reverse spiral too. Like what I'm basically taking from what you're saying is that when you are basically in the present, not worried about the past or future, when you're connected to service, you have actually an unlimited amount of energy, and outworking the competition isn't actually harder. It just happens. It
almost, I'm not saying always, because sometimes it feels like work, but it almost doesn't feel like work because, people always say, 'cause I have the craziest schedule of anybody I know, or at least that's what it looks like from the outside looking in. To me, my schedule looks pretty peaceful. You know why? Because I only have one thing. I don't double book myself. And if I do, I fix it. Right. So it's like, I just do one thing at a time. Now, I'm not thinking about anything other than this conversation we're having. That's it. There's nothing else on my mind. I'm super at peace with it. I'm super transparent about it. And if I bring that same self to everything I do, I have people that tell me when I'm supposed to get off, and I have a phone that beeps when it's like time for my next thing. And it's like, other than that, I just live in the it. And as a result, I live in an excited state of creation versus in a fearful state of when's the next shoe going to drop?
Right. And as a result of that, you just win.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
then you win.
Yeah.
And then you prove yourself right. And it's the craziest thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Beautiful, man. Perfect. I'm conscious of our time, and I think we've used it well. We're winning.
We're winning.
Awesome,
Appreciate
brother.
what you're doing. I really do.
Thank you.
You're having a big impact on people and on the world. And, you know, it takes a village, man. It takes a village. And what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to show the world that you don't have to be a ruthless prick to be successful. No. And if I, a former ruthless prick, can act changed and can be creating success by helping others succeed and teaching other people how to do it, so can you. So buy my book, read it.
Absolutely.
If I can help you in any way, you let me know.
You don't have to be ruthless to win. Everybody can grab it on Amazon, Jonathan Kaiser. I also want to acknowledge you, man. For years, I've been sending my clients to Kaiser website to read the principles and to use that as an inspiration to create company culture. And I think you're making a big impact, and I'm excited to see it continue and shift the industry.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Much love, brother. Bye for now.
Much love.